This Liberation War. Professionally, I was a retired scientist and human rights activist, and currently I'm an elected official as a councilman of my town, Plainsboro in New Jersey. I have been in the council for the last 17 years. Last year I was elected for 3 years term. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would like to welcome you all to our press conference, and we express our heartfelt thanks for coming and joining us. Our organization, Bangladesh Human Rights Watch, promotes democracy, secularism, and human rights in Bangladesh. Today, we have invited you to share our concern on the issues facing 180 million people of Bangladesh. The consequence of these issues will not only affect people of Bangladesh, but also the region as well as across the globe. What are those issues? Those issues are corruption, human rights violation, and rise of Islamist terrorism sponsored by Dr. Muhammad Yunus. Who is Dr. Muhammad Yunus? He is a Nobel laureate and currently the illegal ruler of Bangladesh. He was installed as the chief advisor of the interim government of Bangladesh. There is no such option, interim government, according to the constitution of Bangladesh. That's why we call him the illegal ruler of Bangladesh. He came to power through international and domestic conspiracy. And it is alleged that the President Biden's administration, United Nations, and European Union Council, they conspired with the help of the domestic terrorists to remove legally, constitutionally elected Prime Minister of Sheikh Hasina and install Yunus as the illegal ruler of Bangladesh. Today we are here to unveil the mask of Dr. Yunus, that he and his regime are corrupt, human rights violators, and promoting Islamist terrorism in Bangladesh. He pretends to be a saint or ambassador of peace, but in fact, what I just mentioned is the violator of human rights. He is a corrupt person, and his regime is corrupt, and they are promoting fundamentally Islamist terrorists in Bangladesh. So we can conclude he is not an ambassador of peace as perceived by the West. Unfortunately, rather he is a sponsor of violence. I think take home should be this message.
Can you have your phone silent?
The take home message is that he is not ambassador of peace. He is perceived by the West. Rather, he is a sponsor of violence. We have distinguished panelists here. They will elaborate each issues with documented evidence so that you can further investigate the crimes of Dr. Yunus and help Bangladeshi people to bring him to justice and save 180 million people of Bangladesh and beyond. We are afraid that if he remains in power, he will complete his mission in converting Bangladesh to a failed state like Afghanistan. Before I would like to invite panelists, I would like to condemn the terrorist attack in Kashmir, and also today is Holocaust Memorial Day, as well as we would like to take this opportunity to remember the martyrs of Bangladesh Liberation War and those who became the victim of violence in Bangladesh since August 5. Ladies and gentlemen, thank again for your presence. Now I would like to introduce Rana Hassan Mahmood. He is the keynote speaker. Professionally, he is an engineer, but he is a political analyst and human rights activist. Mr. Mahmood.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammadi.
Oh, there are some house rules. Please turn off your cell phone. And also, as I mentioned about taking photographs, please don't take photographs of the audience. And lastly, if you have any question, this press conference is mainly for mainstream journalists. So if you have any question, you can make an oral question or you can make a long note. I will invite the appropriate panelists to answer those questions. Thank you. Mr. Hassan.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending today's press conference. We are gathered at a critical moment when Bangladesh, under the leadership of Dr. Yunus, has become a nation where lives are in constant danger, liberty shackled, and the pursuit of happiness remains a distant dream. On August 5 of last year, a significant event unfolded that marked the culmination of both domestic and international intrigue aimed at destabilizing Bangladesh, a rapidly growing nation seemingly thriving under the leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Since that incident, the country has transformed into a landscape where mob violence has become the norm and anarchy rules. This alarming shift reflects a profound and troubling apathy from the current regime regarding its responsibility to protect the lives, properties, and religious freedoms of its citizens. Such negligence is truly lamentable and raises critical concerns about the future stability and governance of the nation. Recent revelations indicate potential connections between U.S. aid and these movements, as highlighted in an interview with Mr. Mike Pence on the Tucker Carlson show. Allegations involving several Biden administration officials have surfaced, as evidenced by Mr. Volker Turk's discussion on Hard Talk, suggesting that the United Nations also played a role in influencing these developments. It is an irony that collectively they have destabilized a densely populated nation and handed over to the virulent militant groups with global ties with other terrorist networks. This development has severe implications on global security and our vital national security interest in that region. Now I'm going to talk about certain key points, but I will not read all of it because of time constraint. You have some papers. Persecution of journalists. Since August 5th, 327 journalists have been charged, including in murder and other cases. More than 1,000 journalists and media workers have been dismissed nationwide. In 4 phases, the government has revoked press accreditation cards of 179 journalists. We have some names. They have international reputation as journalists, but we cannot mention for the security because what happened in London, when they were mentioned, they were deprived of their life-saving medication in jail. So even if I want to mention right now, I just hope and pray that you inquire through us and put a mounting pressure through your journalistic community for the safeguard of their lives. Moreover, individuals with ties to Jamaat and BNP have seized control of several media outlets, resulting in a near-complete news blackout in Bangladesh. Human rights violations. Dr. Muhammad Yunus has implicitly authorized violence, harassment, and property destruction against minority communities, particularly Hindus, by suggesting to foreign journalists that such actions are non-communal but politically motivated, quote-unquote. This statement inaccurately implies that minority communities support the Awami League, thereby justifying violence against them. One of the first victims were school teachers. Teachers from some 2,000 schools have been forced to resign by mob students, yet authority took no action. Where there has been any acknowledgement, it is often included with misleading narrative that media outside Bangladesh are merely exerting the situation. Since July of last year, 455 leaders and activists of Awami League have been killed. 15 Awami League leaders and activists have died in custody. More than 3,000 cases have been filed against Awami League leaders and activists across the country. Approximately 450,000 people have been named as accused, and around 1.1 million unnamed individuals have been implicated. Dr. Yunus provided blanket indemnity to all those who were involved in the so-called July movement starting from July 15 till August 8. This includes the time frame where hundreds of innocent students were killed, as well as the brutal killing of hundreds of law enforcement officials. Our question is, why an indemnity would be required if those involved in the movement were not responsible for the mass killing and destruction of properties? Moreover, there are video evidences that several movement leaders and leaders of Islamist parties are taking credit for lynching and slaughtering hundreds of police officers, as well as destruction of vital infrastructure. This was all a part of Dr. Yunus's meticulous plan to grab power without any constitutional validity. Rise of militant jihadists. We have witnessed a sudden breakout of militants from prisons, including notorious individuals whose release occurred without any substantive effort from the government to recapture them. Members of Hizb ut-Tahrir, a banned militant group with open ties to ISIS, boldly displayed ISIS flags atop the historic residence of our founding father while it was being demolished on February 5th of this year. They also brought out large procession on March 7 with global ambition to impose caliphate, which Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard rightly pointed out. A little over a week ago, BBC Bangla reported that 346 known militant jihadists were released on bail. These include death row inmates as well as those who got life sentences for their heinous crimes. On April 7th, during a demonstration against Israel, pictures of bin Laden was openly displayed by Hifazat-e-Islam and Shia leaders. Both of those groups are known allies of Dr. Yunus' regime. Swastika and Nazi salutes were also in open public display without any action, let alone a condemnation from the regime. The implications of these collective efforts have transformed Bangladesh from a year ago, characterized as one of the fastest growing economies in the world under the strong leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who maintained control over jihadist militants, to a haven for extremist groups to thrive. Cultural genocide. The Jamaat-e-Islami supported regime in Bangladesh has perpetuated what can only be described as a cultural genocide. Museums have been burnt to ruins, and countless sculptures, not limited to those of the founding father, but hundreds of years old, have been destroyed, along with historic sites associated with Bangladesh's heritage. Lastly, alleged corruption involving Dr. Muhammad Yunus. Dr. Yunus has leveraged his global prominence and connections with powerful figures in the West to stifle any dissent regarding the alleged financial irregularities surrounding his drumming empire. We have provided you information that constitutes just the tip of the iceberg about his alleged corruption. His financial dealings in the US and contributions to specific foundations have come under scrutiny, notably raised by Senator Chuck Grassley, now with mounting evidence of his alleged corruption and coming to light, including his business interests in the USA and his partisan comments on President Trump's electoral victory in 2016. We, as law-abiding citizens, demand a comprehensive congressional investigation into his financial practices, both domestically and internationally. I have given my name and my email address. If you have any question, if you want some documents, I can definitely give you soft copies of that. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, and please hold your questions until all the panelists make their comments. Our next speaker, next panelist is Engineer Mohammad Siddiq. He is also a human rights activist, also political analyst. Now, Mr. Siddiq, he will speak on the corruption of Dr. Muhammad Yunus and his regime.
Good afternoon, everybody. As we hear from us that we are here, inform you the ongoing crisis in Bangladesh. The so-called color revolution happened 5th of August 2024, and unelected, unconstitutional, and illegal occupying force named Interim Government of Bangladesh, now in power under the Chief Advisor Dr. Muhammad Yunus. As you heard his background, he is a Nobel laureate on peace. 2006, he awarded to this prestigious prize to him. Probably the selection was not properly, evaluated. We call him as the puppet of the Western country. Those who did the conspiracy, as we heard from renowned journalist, televised on the social media, that the deep state conspiracy. US President Donald J. Trump, he publicly declared that how USAID funded to this color revolution. He mentioned $29 million was given a group of 2 employees only there. And that money distributed among the so-called non-profit organization, NGOs. And Dr. Muhammad Yunus is the mastermind of this all NGOs in Bangladesh. But his area is microcredit, which is initiated in 1976 under the government funded through a statutory body, Chittagong University, in economics department, where he was a teacher. Under his supervision, the government funded and did a pilot project in the rural areas in Chittagong, and the village name is Jobra. He portrayed that he himself created this idea, the microcredit. That is the false propaganda and false, title he got himself. Microcredit was running, hundreds of years all over the world. As we could mention another Nobel laureate from India, the famous poet Rabindranath Tagore. He started using his Nobel money to the poor farmers to utilize it, and he paid it without any interest, incurred any interest over there. The government in 1983, under Article 46, declared that the Grameen Bank is formed officially, and he became the temporary managing director of this bank. The shareholdings was the government 60%, and the members of this borrower of this Grameen Bank, those who are the landless poor women, 40%. So 60:40, that initiated what this gentleman, Muhammad Yunus, did in 1990. He reduced the government share to 25% from 60%, and subsequently he did to less than 3%, the government owned share, which is illegal. No authority to give this permission to dilute the government shares and increase the paid-up capital of the Grameen Bank. So the trick he used on it, that the board of the Grameen Bank, comprising 3 government members and the 9 borrowers members, those who are the illiterate women. So he influenced them, and whatever he wanted to pass, the regulations as he did it. This bank drew attention to the donor agencies like 1994, IFAD, NORAD, SIDA, USAID, Ford Foundation contributed the funds for the microcredit. And this fund was given to the Grameen Bank. Muhammad Yunus transferred this fund to SBCF fund, is called this Social Venture Capital Fund. It is absolutely illegal. He cannot transfer the fund, and he named it Grameen Fund. Consequently, he did another fund in 1996, is called SAF, the Social Advancement Fund. So whatever the money came to the Grameen Bank for the poor people's improvement of life, he transferred 44.25, about $4.2 million, and created Grameen Kollan, another trust. Afterward, this Grameen Fund and Grameen Kollan put together, and he started creating sister organization, one after another, transferring fund from Grameen Bank to creating new companies, and those are non-profit organizations. In total, it was 35 organizations in Bangladesh and 11 outside of the country. It is in different countries of the world. So altogether 48 organizations he created, and he is the chairman or the director of those companies. Means he controls all the funds, and he never ever liable to the government as he was practiced. The first conflict started with the government, that the law of the land is any of the statutory bodies employee should retire at age 60, and he was staying continuously until he became 71 years old. He claimed he could run as managing director of this bank as long as he wants. So finally, the central bank terminates him. He went to the apex court, means high court of the country, and he lost the case. He then started begging to his friend, like the Western friend. As you know, Clinton family is a family friend, and such other world leaders. They tried to influence the then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina that you cannot remove him from the position of the bank gonna be destroyed. So 2011, he officially removed from this bank, and he started the conspiracy. I just want to point out a few of his example, like Grameen Fund was initially funded from the Grameen Bank. So the Grameen Fund is a very profitable an organization in Bangladesh. Grameen Bank got 34.2% shares of this Grameen Fund. And every year the revenue was coming, the dividend averaged 1,200 crores to 1,500 crores was paid to this Grameen Telecom, which is owned by absolutely Grameen Bank. In 24 years, we calculated 28,000 crores of the money is accumulated with the cumulative interest, while it can be put in the bank. The comprehensive audit done for the 40 years of the Grameen Bank found out there is no balance. Out of this 28,000 crores of the money, nothing balanced there. And he terminated almost 150 employees. Never ever did the government procedure or the labor law practice that they never become the permanent employee of this organization. The another provision was that when they terminated, they did not receive any benefits. They went to the labor court and filed a lawsuit. They have another fund was 5% welfare funds from every companies can get for the welfare of the employees. When they went to the court, claimed like 1,000 crore taka in the valuation, the mediation team settled outside of the labor court. It was 437 crores. It is, amount of $45 million for 120 employees. It is offered. What he did, this clever man, he bribed the two lawyers of the laborers, giving them big lump sum amount of money, as well as he provided the leaders of the labor. It's called the CBA, Combined Bargaining Agent. That was detected by the intelligence and stopped all those funds. So similar way, he transferred from the NORAD funds about $1 million without notifying to the bank, and Norwegian national TV detected those, corruption, and Tom Henneman, one of the famous director, he made a documentary published on their national TV, and it flourished all over the world. Found out, without notifying, he transferred fund from here to there. It was assigned for the poor people's housing loan. So similar way, after publishing this, a portion he returned, the remaining portion still he kept himself of this other organization. So similar way, he did finally 54 sister organizations like that way all over the country, and all of the organizations running under his own rule, not complying with the government rules or the law of the land. When the government tried to intervene them, what's going on over there? Then the big conflict started, and Dr. Muhammad Yunus started collecting signatures, 187 world Nobel laureates and the leaders, business leaders, and published 2 advertisements to the Washington Post. It's a costly advertisement, the full page ad. So he could not escape himself. After several cases, he found guilty and got a 6-month sentence. The another case was running, and the day before the government overthrown, 666 crore taka, he did not pay the taxes to the government revenue department. While he took the power on 8th August 2024, he scrapped all his cases against him without going through the legal procedures. So this is a man, he became himself billionaire, and he is the member of the billionaire club of the world. He is giving lecture all over the world. He's a green man, empowering women in the poor country, Bangladesh, but literally no significant reference that any women alleviated their stature of the poverty, and lot of them committed suicide, under the pressure, not able to pay back the taxes. The interest rate was 15% to 40%, which is unprecedented in the world. So that's Nobel laureate finally took over the power and turning the country, as you heard from the keynote speakers. I don't want to go through furthermore. Finally, what he did after resuming position, he infiltrates the Islamic jihadists. They declared the Khilafah, Islamic Caliphate and Sharia law in Bangladesh. we are concerned about the thing that if this geopolitical, valued spot, Bangladesh, turned into a terrorist country and took over by ISIS or such other groups, jihadist group, that the South Asian region would be a turmoil, and it's going to affect the peace all over the world, I believe. So we urge the peace-loving people in the world that pay attention to Bangladesh and remove this regime who is a criminal by character. So that is the final thing, and all we want your help to publish this sequence as it is described briefly on my paper. Thank you very much. And the next.
Thank you for your presentation focusing on corruption of Dr. Yunus. Now I'd like to request Dr. Dilip Nath. He is also an activist as well as a political analyst to talk about the atrocities on minorities in Bangladesh. Dr. Dilip.
Thank you, Dr. Nobi, for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, respected journalists, delegates, activists. I stand before you today not as a representative of any political party or any interest group, but as a concerned American citizen speaking on behalf of 18 million Hindus and religious minorities in Bangladesh who are living under challenging conditions. This situation persists under the government led by Nobel laureate Dr. Muhammad Yunus. While I will not read my entire paper, which is available to download via QR code, but I would like to underscore several key points for your immediate attention. Bangladesh religious and ethnic minority and its relatively green secular democracy are both facing a crisis, the threat of the Islamic hardliners, orchestrated by the Pakistan intelligence agency, ISI, and other international actors like China. They ousted the secular democratic government led by Sheikh Hasina through a mass uprising on August 5, 2024. Subsequently appointed their sympathizer, Nobel laureate Dr. Muhammad Yunus, as the country's chief advisor. Upon being appointed chief advisor, Muhammad Yunus literally released hundreds of thousands of criminals from the jail, murderers, including Mufti Josimuddin Rahmani, a chief of Ansarullah Bangla team, an Al-Qaeda-inspired militant outfit, also known as Ansar al-Islam, was released from Kashimpur High Security Central Jail in Ghazipur. He is a convicted criminal of killing secular blogger Rajiv Haider and many more. Using Dr. Yunus as a camouflage, the Islamic hardliners are steadily, decisively, and rapidly advancing the radical Islamist agenda of transforming country into Islamic republic like Afghanistan. Dr. Muhammad Yunus meticulously planned to establish Khilafat Islam in Bangladesh, which radical Islamists eventually want to expand by annexing parts of India, Myanmar. They also plan to completely eliminating remaining 18 million religious and ethnic minority, Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, to violence, thus destroying the pluralistic nature of population, which is essential for transforming the born secular democratic Bangladesh into monolithic Islamic state like Afghanistan. At the same time, they're destroying systematically anything and everything related to secular democracy, which includes destruction of temples, museums, sculpture, monuments that commemorate the War of Independence, led the creation of secular democracy in Bangladesh. Friends, following the fall of Sheikh Hasina government on August 5th, as Bangladesh Hindu Buddhist Christian reported, within the first 15 days, there was over 2,000 incidents took place across the country that include murder, rape, and of course, destruction of the temple, burning the dwelling houses. And within the 8 months of his government, there are over 3,500 police officers were murdered, killed, and hanged under the Yunus regime. Unfortunately, these events are not widely covered by the mainstream media because due to the influence of Yunus' well-funded PR firm, which has presented a one-sided, fabricated narrative. In the recent month, Dr. Yunus, which as Islamists have forced hundreds of minority, actually thousands, officers educated to resign, humiliated, beaten up, and incarcerated anyone who opposed. As many of you heard, a notable ISKCON monk, a Hindu monk, has been arrested simply because he held peaceful protests, rallies condemning the atrocity, demanding the criminal minority persecutor to be brought into justice. Dr. Yunus' government has not only incarcerated him, but denied bail, and also denied him the privilege of being presented by a lawyer for his bail hearing. In sum, today 18 million religious and ethnic minorities live there in a constant fear of rape and death, worrying whose turn is next. I have a video. I hope Ushobda can show it that so at least you can see what is happening today in the last 8 to 9 months under the Yunus regime. Friends, in closing, I would like to reiterate this. While protecting the minorities of Bangladesh is a humanitarian obligation, protecting secular democracy in the country is necessary in our own security interests. If the Islamists of Bangladesh are allowed to achieve their declared goal of transforming the country into caliphate, it will constitute a dreadful disaster in Bangladesh. Islamic jihadi will not only destabilize the democracy in South Asia, but also Western nation here at home. Therefore, echoing the Southeast Asia scholar, a journalist whom I have read many articles, many of you have known, Sale Harrison, I'd like to conclude with an appeal. Friends, get a grip on Dhaka and do not write off secular Bangladesh yet. So I hope you would read our materials, at least take our message and bring it to the mainstream. That is our honest request. Uchabda, whenever you have a second, if you can show the video at some point, that will be. Thank you.
Yeah, after the panelists, then we'll show the videos. Now I'd like to thank Dr. Dilip Nath for your presentation. Now I'd like to request Arifa Rahman Ruma. She is a former diplomat and a professor. She will share her own experience how she was a victim of this illegal regime of Dr. Mohammed Yunus. Ruma.
Good evening. I fled Bangladesh in August 2024 after facing interrogation and threats from radical Islamist groups. Since then, the country has plunged into chaos. On August 5th, 2024, following the fall of the Awami League government, Bangladesh saw a drastic breakdown in law and order. Over just 5 days, 205 attacks targeted religious minorities, while law enforcement suffered unprecedented violence, with some 450 police stations attacked. Radical Islamists exploited the turmoil, looting arms and killing officers with immunity granted by the interim government. From July 2024, mobs brutally attacked police officers across the country. More than 44 officers were killed officially, but independent sources report thousands. Mobs looted police stations and officers, including pregnant women, were burned to death. Despite this, the interim government did nothing to hold the attackers accountable. In the Chittagong Hills, over 100 homes belonging to the indigenous Chakma community were burned by illegal settlers. A Buddhist temple was also set on fire, and indigenous students were attacked for protesting the preservation of their history from textbooks. On September 18, 2024, Dhaka University students lynched Tofazal Hussain, a man with mental health issues, accusing him of theft. In the same month, former student leader Shami Ahmed was beaten to death at Jahangirnagar University, despite the presence of security and authorities. These incidents reveal a growing culture of mob justice in Bangladesh. More than 80 religious shrines have been attacked by extremist groups in the last 8 months. These attacks are part of a broader effort of dismantle religious terrorism in the country. Radical Islamist groups forced the cancellation of at least 3 women's football matches in North Bangladesh by vandalizing venues. This reflects the growing influence of these groups, which threaten women's rights and freedoms. Since July, university professors have faced harassment and forced resignations due to political pressure. Professors like Abdul Bashir and A.K. Mahmoud Hassan were coerced into resigning after mobs harassed them. Many other faculty members, especially from minorities communities, have been targeted or forced out of their positions. In early 2025, 337 women and girls were tortured, raped, or murdered in Bangladesh. Activists demanding justice were met with violence, repression, as police blocked their protests and attacked demonstrations. Bangladesh now faces the collapse of democracy and human rights. Mob rule has replaced justice, and the government is complicit in the violence. Extremist groups are attacking educators, minorities, women, and cultural institutions with impunity. The nation's tourism is at risk, and urgent action is needed to prevent further defeats.
Thank you, Ruma, for your presentation. Now we have heard that there was a human rights violation. Now Rana will recap this human rights violation with the help of a video conducted, made by attorney or solicitor from England, Sayyid Abedi. Rana, he will recap the atrocities and human rights violations.